start at the beginning. So yesterday, hub testing started. And what hub testing is when the IRS opens their system for a limited amount of time for different software companies to be able to submit tax returns to them to test their system out before they actually open for their open dates. Now, doing hub testing, returns are accepted by the IRS and your return can get rejected by the IRS. So yes, we are sending returns, and yes, returns are getting accepted. The most important part that you do need to know is that we have no control over what returns are going to be accepted. Good morning, Miss Clara. Nor do we have control over whether your return is going to be sent actually to the IRS or not before the official start date. They allow a certain time of the day and so many returns by each software company to be sent out. So at the end of the day, we don't know if you're going to get accepted or not. Now, the history of it, is that majority of returns that you're sending during this period are getting accepted. I have a cutoff time for this week that they're going to stop sending returns through to the IRS, and then they're going to pick back up next week. So at the end of the day, yeah, you can go into the tax companies and we can submit your tax return. The only thing is it's not like when the official dates start and we send the returns and we get the acceptance within minutes or within a couple of hours, however that works. That's how hub testing works. So hub testing is open and we are able to send returns. Now, the official start date for the IRS is January the 29th. Now, what is the official date? The official date is when the IRS opens their system for people nationwide to be able to submit their tax returns to them. There's no cutoff time. You can just continuously send tax returns 24/7. They accept them from everybody, and that's what their official start date is. Now, that doesn't start until January the 29th. That's not going to change. It's not going to be earlier. That's the date that they have announced. Now, again, we can't send returns through hub testing. So returns will begin accepted. But if your return is sent by your tax office, do not expect or be calling them the next day asking, has my return been accepted? Because it doesn't work like that doing hub testing. So that's what you need to know about, like, your return sending out. When they going out, is your tax pro lying to you and told you that your return has been sent? At this point, we're not holding returns or whatever. We're actually sending them out, and it's determined by our tax software company whether your return is going to be actually sent to the IRS or not. We have no control over that. So that's what we got going on. It's in talks, supposedly, about possibly expanding the child tax credit basically to how it was in 2021 for this upcoming tax season. So it's not next tax season, it is for this upcoming tax season. The only thing about it is they have been talking about this for the last couple of years and it's never passed. Now, they supposed to come up with some type of decision in the next couple of days. They were saying the next 2 weeks or whatever, whether or not they're going to do that or not. I don't know if they're going to do it. I can't tell you that they are, and I can't tell you that they're not, because that's solely dependent on them. Now, if they do, a lot of people are asking, should I wait to file my taxes? Now, that is on you. That's a decision that you have to make. Now, if you do file your taxes and they decide to increase the child tax credit, what's going to happen is they're just going to make the adjustments like they did when they added the stimulus and did all those other things back when COVID was here. So it's not like you won't get your money. You will get your money. You just will not get your money at the time that you filed. Now, holding off on actually filing your taxes, is that a smart decision? I don't know, because we don't know if they're going to pass it. Now, I can say that the official day is not till the 29th. And mostly, unless you just have one job, or you don't have any and one job and no other deductions that you need a form for, that employers, lenders, different institutes, they do not have to have your documents out until January 31st. So if you do not have all your documents and this particular credit could pass, it would be in your best interest to wait until then to actually file. And I would say wait until then to file because you don't have all your documents, not because this credit might pass or not. Because we don't know if it's going to pass or not. And honestly, I really don't know. I don't have no indication of whether they're going to pass it or not. And if they pass it, what it's going to be. I don't know. And anybody who's telling you that they do know, they lying because they don't know. We don't know what else was going to do. For real. So just stay tuned to see if it passed. Every single year. So let me just try to explain it to you all how this stuff works. So this is a regular tax season. So if you do not have the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit, then your refund will be processed in the normal processing dates, which is 8 to 21 days. Okay? So if you don't have any of those credits, your refund, or your return rather, is going to process in the normal dates. Now, if you do have the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit, you have to wait until after February the 15th to receive your refund. The IRS cannot process refunds for anybody who has earned income tax credit and additional tax credit until after February the 15th. That is law. Okay? Nobody's special to where their return will be processed before February the 15th if you have those credits. Nobody's special. That's the law. Now, you might have some people who actually get their refund and they're claiming dependence on their taxes, and they might get their refund before February the 15th. A lot of people think if you got dependence on your tax return that you automatically are getting those particular credits, and you're not. First off, it's a difference between the child tax credit and the additional child tax credit. It's a difference. One is refundable, one is non-refundable. The refundable credits cannot be processed before February the 15th. The non-refundable credits can. So if you don't have any of the refundable credits on your tax return, specifically the earned income tax credit and the additional child tax credit, then your tax refund can come in the 8 to 21 days. A lot of tax pros don't understand that. Like, it's the child tax credit and additional child tax credit. The February 15th law is based off the additional child tax credit. So you might do have some people that have kids on their tax return that end up getting their refund prior to February the 15th. And that means they do not file in the category that you fall in, and you have to wait until after February the 15th. Now, the IRS always put a date out for those people who have that particular credit, you know, those particular credits, when you can possibly expect your refunds. And you can possibly expect your refunds, they say February the 27th. That's not a definitely date. So don't go by that date. You're going to see that on our pages. We're going to be posting it. Tax Pros are going to be saying it. But that is not a definite date. Okay, so usually from history, It usually come between the 21st of February to February 27th. Again, it just depends on when they want to release it. But we know for sure, if you got those two credits, that you're not going to get it before February the 15th. So, just be prepared for that. And remember, it's law. Unless they change that law, then it's going to be like that every single year. Those are always advertising, do you want to be in the first batch? Let's talk about it. Okay. So the first batch is, your returns going out first. But let me tell y'all something. If you get earned income tax credit or child tax credit, your return can go out first, but it don't mean that you're going to get it on 27. That's number one. And number two is people who file after you can be in that first batch of deposits, because up until a certain day, a lot of taxpayers are going to be in that batch. So, that's terminology. So, if you're not the first person to go out, do not mean that you're not going to get your refund on February 27th if you got those two credits. So, understand that too. Like, we use a lot of terminologies. A lot of them are marketing tactics. I don't knock nobody for doing that. If they can get clients in their door. But you just need to know, like, what do that actually mean? And I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. Like, history. Okay? I've been doing taxes almost 2 decades. History. A lot of times, you don't want to be the first one going out because, a lot of times the returns get stuck in the IRS system and they be held for dear life. Being the first to go out is not always the best thing, because again, when you're going through hub testing, remember the IRS is testing their system. So your return can get lost. I don't see why people's returns get lost. You know what I'm saying? It looked like their return didn't get filed. Being the first person to go out. Now, mind you, it don't happen to everybody. Sometimes people go out and they have no problems and they be in the first drop or whatever. But I have seen it where you sent your return out first and then you don't be in the first drop. You end up being in the second or third drop. So understand, nobody has control over that. Nobody has control over that. Once your return gets sent to the IRS, it's out our hands. Whatever the IRS wants to do at that point, then they're going to do it. And then ultimately, once we send your return out to the IRS can easily flag your return. And I guess I need to kind of do just a small video about when IRS flag your returns. It's out our hands. Whatever the IRS wants to do at that point, then they're going to do it. And then ultimately, once we send your return out to the IRS can easily flag your return. And I guess I need to kind of do just a small video about when IRS flag your returns for errors, because every time they flag your return for errors, do not mean you got an error on there. The IRS likes to flag stuff. And they love to flag people that really don't got nothing on their tax return and hold it for dear life. But once your return is sent to the IRS, they can easily flag it. If they flag it, it ain't nothing we can do. It's going to be in their hands. They're going to release it when they feel like it. It ain't nothing we can do. So, just to wrap this up. 1, yes, we are sending returns out doing hub testing. We can't determine whether or not yours is going to be accepted or not, but we are sending tax returns. 2, the official start date is January 29th. That's the date that the IRS opened their system nationwide, and then you can start receiving acceptance of your tax return within minutes, or if it take a little longer. But usually it don't take that long for your return to get accepted. 3, is Congress going to increase the child tax credit? It's a possibility. I don't know if they are, right? And I don't know if they're not. So ultimately, it could possibly happen. And if it does happen and you've already sent your return, you do not have to stress out. You will still get the money. They will send it separately. Number 4, I need to stop counting. Number 4 is when should you expect your refund? If you do not have earned income tax credit or additional child tax credit on your taxes, then your tax return will process in the normal to 8 to 21 days. If you do have earned income tax credit and additional child tax credit on your taxes, your tax return and refund, if you get one, cannot process until after February the 15th. That's by law. Nobody can break that law. So don't get fooled thinking that somebody's tax situations is special, because it's not. And the IRS is predicting, not a definite date, that they will release those refunds around February 27th. It can be a couple of days earlier. It's usually not a couple of days late. That's pretty much what it is. So I hope this was helpful, y'all. A recap. 1, yes, we are sending returns out doing hub testing. We can't determine whether or not yours is going to be accepted or not, but we are sending tax returns. 2, the official start date is January 29th. That's the date that the IRS opened their system nationwide, and then you can start receiving acceptance of your tax return within minutes, or, if it take a little longer. But usually it don't take that long for your return to get accepted. 3, is Congress going to increase the child tax credit? It's a possibility. I don't know if they are, right? And I don't know if they're not. So ultimately, it could possibly happen. And if it does happen and you've already sent your return, you do not have to stress out. You will still get the money. They will send it separately. Number 4, I need to stop counting. Number 4 is when should you expect your refund? If you do not have earned income tax credit or additional child tax credit on your taxes, then your tax return will process in the normal to 8 to 21 days. If you do have earned income tax credit and additional child tax credit on your taxes, your tax return and refund, if you get one, cannot process until after February the 15th. That's by law. Nobody can break that law. So don't get fooled thinking that somebody's tax situations is special, because it's not. And the IRS is predicting, not a definite date, that they will release those refunds around February 27th. It can be a couple of days earlier. It's usually not a couple of days late. That's pretty much what it is. So I hope this was helpful, y'all. So if you know anybody need this information, which